stop sharing, you can immediately start sharing. Do you know what I mean?
Okay. Yeah. So I'll just get it ready for on my slides then.
Lovely.
So it's streaming live now, guys. So just get to it, do it.
جلستنا الحالية بعنوان BIOTech Futures بوابة للابتكار، ستشارك به دكتور هالة زريقات رئيسة وحدة أبحاث هندسة الأنسجة والمواد الحيوية في كلية الهندسة بجامعة سيدني. عملها مع BIOTech Futures وهو برنامج للتوعية والابتكار يجمع بين طلاب المدارس الثانوية وأكاديميين جامعيين لمواجهة التحديات الحالية في مجالات الطب والطاقة والبيئة. سيشاركها الحديث بعض من طلابها: يوهان غوش طالب جامعي وباحث في جامعة سيدني أستراليا، أنيتا بيكارد طالبة الهندسة الطبية الحيوية بجامعة سيدني، وستيفاني هي طالبة دكتوراه في وحدة بحوث المواد الحيوية وهندسة الأنسجة في كلية الهندسة بجامعة سيدني. أيضاً أود التنويه أن هذه الجلسة ستتوفر مع ترجمة فورية، وعلى مستمعينا إذا أردت الترجمة الرجاء الضغط على أيقونة الترجمة على أقصى يمين أسفل الشاشة واختيار القناة الصوتية الثانية اللغة الفرنسية، وستقوم بسماع الترجمة الأوتوماتيكية من مترجمنا الفوري الدكتور محمد أبو العلا. Our current session is titled BIOTech Futures, a Gateway to Innovation. Dr. Halla Zrieqat, head of the Tissue and Biomaterial Engineering Research Unit.
Hello.
عم بقطع.
Sorry for that. So Dr. Halla Zrieqat, head of the Tissue and Biomaterial Engineering Research Unit at the College of Engineering at the University of Sydney, will share her work with BIOTech Futures, an awareness and innovation program that brings together high school students and university academics to meet current challenges in the fields of medicine, energy, and the environment. Among its students, YOHAANN GHOSH is a university student and researcher at the University of Sydney, Australia. ANITA PICKARD, a student in biomedical engineering at the University of Sydney, and Stephanie Yee, a PhD student in the Biomaterials and Tissue Engineering Research Unit at the University of Sydney's School of Engineering. Dr. Halla, the floor is yours. The duration of the session is 30 minutes, and we can answer the questions in the last 5 minutes.
شكرا علاء، وشكرا لكل الساينس ويك اللي أعطانا الفرصة إنه نحكي عن الجيت واي تو انوفيشن. علاء، أنا كمعلمة وكبروفيسورة بالجامعة واجبي ومهنتي إني أعطي الطريق للأصغر مني، للطلاب اللي عندي، لحتى يقودوا بهذا المجال ويدرسوا بهذا المجال، إذا بنقدر نفرجيهم قديش أهمية الدراسة بالهندسة وبالطب. فأنا دايماً لما كنت أروح على البلاد العربية أختار أروح على مدارس أعطي محاضرات بالمدارس. طبعاً بسيدني هون بدينا هذا الموضوع، أنتم شايفين الطلاب اللي معكم هلأ هن الطلاب اللي حبوا يجي يشتغلوا معي بهذا المجال. فأسسنا الحركة اللي اسمها BIOTech Future Challenge. وهاي يوهان، can I have the next slide please? So أول مؤتمر عملناه كان السنة الماضية، وجذب كتير أهمية بالإعلام مش بس بأستراليا وبرا أستراليا، عشان إجا عنا أطفال كتير من المدارس. أنا بقول عنهم أطفال أعمار 15. أنا بعتقد إنه كل اللي عم بيستمعونا هلأ من عمر 16 ل 24. كان أهم إشي عندهم إنه يشوفوا كيف الهندسة عم تعمل إنجازات واختراعات اللي بتغير الطب تماما. يعني هلا هاي الصورة عم بتشوفوا، أنا كنت بعمان بالكينجز أكاديمي، كنت أتطوع أروح أعطي محاضرات. ليش؟ لحتى الطلاب اللي بعمان مثلا بحالتي لما كان أروح على عمان يعرفوا إيش عم نعمل إحنا أبحاث بأستراليا، لأنه المجال الأبحاث العلمية مش كتير متقدم عندنا بالبلاد. فكان بدي إياهم يشوفوا قديش أهمية هذه الأبحاث وإيش بتعمل للمجتمع. وإذا بدك ترجعي أنا واجبي إني أقدم للمجتمع بكل الأشياء اللي المجتمع قدم لي إياها، أرجعها بإني أعمل منتورينج للطلاب اللي أصغر. فهون بأستراليا من قبل 4 سنين بديت أنا عزم أعطي محاضرات بمدارس هون كمان، وكمان عمل كتير ضجة كبيرة. قديش ضجة للأشياء إيجابية، إنه كتير الطلاب صاروا يجوا عنا ويطلبوا يقعدوا بالمختبرات ويعملوا أبحاث، وأبحاثهم عملت اختراعات اللي حكت عنها الجرايد هون. فهلا السنة هاي عاملين إحنا، طبعا كان مفروض بشهر 12، هلا أجلناها لشهر 2 بسبب الكوفيد، وراح نجمع طلاب يعملوا اختراعاتهم، بيكونوا بتدربوا مع بروفيسورية، مع طلاب دكاترة من الجامعة على الأبحاث اللي بدهم يعملوها. وهلأ هون بتشوفوا اختراعات عملوها الطلاب السنة الماضية. بعد هاي الاختراعات رح تروح وتطبق، ويمكن نعمل عليها باتنت. مش عارفة إيش الكلمة هاي، علاء بتعرفي؟ أو المترجم يمكن يفسرها. وتساعد كتير تساعدنا احنا المعلمين اللي مجالنا بالابحاث. فهذا كتير كان إشي مهم عندنا. فهلا الطلاب رح يحكوا، طبعا هاي كلها الانيشيتيف بقودها انا، مزبوط، انا المسؤولة عنها، بس كله عندك الطلاب هم بيكونوا الجمعية اللي بتمشي بهاي الابحاث أو بهاي المقابلات يعني مع الطلاب لحتى نعمل المؤتمر. فهلا بدي أترك ليوهان يكمل ويحكي عن واجبهم بهذا المجتمع. Go ahead, Johan.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Halla, for the introduction and all the opportunities that you've provided us since day one. Hi, everyone. I'm the inaugural symposium chair for BIOTech Futures, which was formerly known as the Bioengineering Innovation Outreach Challenge. And today I'll be talking a little about our background, highlight a few of our successes, and end on the impact of leading this initiative as an undergrad. So in 2019, the team went about creating a competition for high school students to provide the resources to these students to develop innovative engineering-based solutions to current issues that they saw in their daily lives in medicine and healthcare. To do this, we let them define their own project scope and paired them with academics to guide their scientific rigor, as well as to provide them with an insight into a research career. We had our first committee meeting when I was wet behind the ears 17-year-old, working with peers, doctoral students over here, and career researchers on what we could collectively provide to these high school students. You'll hear further from my learning colleague Steph, who's in the right down here in a few minutes. So in 2019, we went about in entering stakeholder engagement with a diverse body of high school students and teachers from both metropolitan and regional Australia, together with university outreach, to see how we could best serve these diverse students with our tertiary resources here at the University of Sydney and with Halla's centre here within the university. Together, we developed a set of 3 requirements for the students in 2019. The first was a 3-minute talk on their project, and you can see the lovely lady in the middle doing that. This was accompanied by a digital poster, which you can see behind the 3 of them on the left-hand side. And you can see the model that they built on the right-hand side. So with this sort of scope, we brought everyone to the University of Sydney in April of 2019 for our symposium, where we saw over 250 students in attendance, with 60 mentors and hundreds of parents, teachers, and friends. Here you can see our competitors, and I'll now run you through some of the highlights of this event. So the first is direct mentorship. We brought experts from across the world to support participants. So here we have Professor Stephen Wise, who's a leader in vascular tissue engineering from here in Sydney, with his Spanish colleague, Miguel, in physics, who are explaining the use of coronary stents in cardiac patients. Incidentally, Stephen is hosting a project on tissue-engineered grafts. So if this is something that interests you and you're a high school student this year, then certainly send us an email at the end of the presentation. Then we had substantial industry engagement with the homegrown medtech company Cochlear Limited. I'm sure that some of you have heard of the cochlear implant, which allows the terminally deaf to recognize sounds as a result of electrical stimulation in the inner ear. So this Aussie company is responsible for the global use of that device, and we got to hear from how they went about their commercialization. Then we also had commercial partners for some of the participants who went into a local Aussie deep tech incubator where they were exposed to the entire process of commercializing medical technology right from the benchtop to the bedside. There was also access to world-leading technology. This particular device here on the right was shared by a Department of Surgery, where this student is using virtual reality to perform an appendectomy on a simulation patient. And of course, our academic mentors got to share their work not only with the students, but also each other through our science fair. These researchers, right here on the left, are teaching students about the use of nanoparticles in coding medical devices, whilst discussing their research with one of the professors in Halle's Center. So I'd particularly like to highlight these teams for their amazing prototypes. Alex's team on the left designed a 3D printed patient-specific treatment for endometriosis, which is a painful gynecological condition. They were working with Professor Stuart Fraser, who's a global leader in stem cell science here in Sydney, but who has completed research across the world in the US, Japan, and Hong Kong. I was privileged enough to work with the team on the right here on designing a nanoparticle-coated heart valve. The goal of this idea was to prevent morbidity associated with heart valve patients being on lifelong blood thinners, particularly in terms of bruising and bleeding easily. Ultimately, the winning team was from Merewether High, a regional school in Australia. They designed a multi-drug compatible housing that delivered medications transdermally. The goal was to provide a route of administration for vulnerable patients, i.e. Geriatrics and pediatrics, where a single site would decrease the morbidities associated with lifelong daily injections. Delta, the team captain, summed up their experience very eloquently here in terms of we wanted to look at a real problem that people have in their everyday life and try to make current devices better with our limited biomedical knowledge. Finally, I thought I would share with some of the undergrads, perhaps in the audience, with the benefits of being involved in such an initiative. The organizational and management skills that I've learned through developing BIOTech Futures has served me immensely through all my research posts. Particularly, I really got to thank the amazing personal mentorship that Halla has provided for me and all of her students, really, in terms of guiding me across the country to follow industry scholarships in orthopedic engineering and more recently, my active research in reconstructive surgery at the Cancer Hospital here in Sydney. I will now yield to Steph, who will discuss our continued engagement with our participants and the wider community. Thank you.
All right, well, thank you very much for that, Johan. So as you've heard, I'm Steph. I'm a PhD student with Professor Halla. And like Johan, I've been involved with BIOTech Futures from the start. So I was a mentor for the Bio Challenge, and I'm also on the committee as a communications and outreach manager. So what I'm going to be showing you today are some of the outreach activities that we've been doing to foster innovation in our students. There we go. So you'll have seen from Professor Halla and from YOHAANN all the things that we've done in terms of inspiring the students to come up with innovative solutions. So how inspiration drives innovation. But it doesn't just stop there, because what we need to do is to nurture that, to keep the students innovating, to keep them pursuing their ideas, and then use that to inspire others. So the big question for us as academics is, how do we get students to continue innovating outside of the challenge? Well, the first thing that we did was to show students how we can use innovation in research. We did this by inviting students to participate in a work experience program where they would spend 1 week with us at Professor Halla's lab, the ARC Training Centre for Innovative Bioengineering at the University of Sydney. And they would actually get a chance to work in the lab and participate in real research. The students that came to visit us were those in year 10 or 10th grade. So these are students that were already interested in pursuing a path in science and engineering in their senior studies, and they came to us to learn more. So while they were with us, our students got up to quite a lot. So they helped us with the general maintenance, the day-to-day activities of the scientist, and they actually helped us with our research as well. So you can see in the top left picture here, there was Christina, one of the other PhD students in the lab, helping her make polymer hydrogels. And I had some students over here on the right doing the same thing with me. We also got the students involved in a lot of the theoretical work, so things like calculations. So they got the full science experience there. On top of that, we also showed them some of the more advanced techniques. So we showed them electron microscopy, mechanical testing, and cell culture, just as some examples. The main takeaway for this, for the students, is that they got to use their basic knowledge and their skills to solve real research problems, and to also think critically and think outside the box when tackling these problems. It was also quite valuable for them to be able to have the chance to experience all of this in a lab setting. And that was particularly the case for the two students that I was with. You can see here, the two students actually happened to be working with me on a school project where they were making a biodegradable polymer at home, for one of their school projects. So they were at home and they had this pot on a stove and they were heating it and stirring all their chemicals with a fork. And when we took them to the lab and did basically the exact same experiment, but with proper scientific equipment, which you can see in the background in that photo, it was just amazing to see the look in their eyes, how they just went, oh my God, wow, this is amazing. It's just like what we're doing at school, but it's so much more clever and high tech. And it was wonderful to see the students getting that out of their time with us. So seeing that they enjoyed being in the lab with us so much, what we did after that was to encourage them to use what they learned to inspire others to do the same. So we invited all of our work experience students, as well as some of our students from the Bio Challenge, to the grand opening of our new lab facilities late last year to share their experiences. So they started the day with a translational research symposium, which, if you don't know what translational research is, it's looking at how we take research from the lab and then turn it into actual treatments for patients at hospitals. So they got to see a bit of that, and then they came back to the lab to present their work. They got to present their work with quite a lot of different guests, like professors, dignitaries, including the governor of New South Wales, which is a state in Australia where we live. And you can see that this is the winning team from the Bio Challenge, actually showing the governor what they came up with. And I think on one of the school's Facebook pages, they actually said that the governor was so impressed that she gave all of the students a big hug at the end. So that was quite sweet. Some of the other things that the students got to see on the day were the personal research journeys of the professors presenting at the symposium. So one of the important professors in particular is, I'm not sure if you can see in the photo, this lady here, Fiona Wood. So she's a surgeon who developed spray-on skin, and that revolutionized burn treatment. So she won the Australian of the Year in 2005 for that. And just to be able to show the students real examples of scientists using simple but such innovative ideas, to do incredible things, that was really inspirational for them. So following from this, the last thing that I've got to talk about is how we can get to students to take their own innovations and use that to inspire their peers, as well as just people in the community. So we did that by having an event called Bio and Beyond at Women's Week. So Women's Week is a series of events that are held in early March to celebrate International Women's Day. And what we did was we got a few teams of students from various girls' schools around Sydney to work closely with academics on coming up with solutions to various problems in health and energy, and then present them at Women's Week. Now, you'll probably notice that this sounds quite similar to the Bio Challenge that Johan just described. And that's true, but in this case, what the students were working on were much more complex, multidisciplinary projects. So that's projects that involve lots of different fields of science, physicists, biologists, mathematicians, engineers, doctors, all working together. And for a lot of these projects, they had 2 or 3 different mentors that they were working with. After that, all the students got to engage as well in a large Q&A panel discussion with some medical innovators so that they could see this in more action. So some of the projects that the students presented include things like a composite cardiac patch for repairing damaged heart tissue. This project is actually based off my research. So I was actually mentoring this group as well as a heart researcher at another university. So there's that multidisciplinary nature. Some of the other projects we had include one where the students were designing an eco-friendly house that used only renewable energy. And another project where we had an all-in-one diagnostic field kit for treating snake bites, which are quite common in Australia. So this was quite an important event for us for a few reasons. Firstly, we expanded our scope to include health and energy. And it was quite important that we did that because energy is another field where biology and technology are seen together and needed together in some of the more complex problems in the field. But probably one of the biggest takeaways from this is that we were able to inspire young girls to get into STEM and also students in rural and underprivileged areas. So if you see this photo on the right, these students are actually from Armidale, which is a town that's 6 hours drive from Sydney. And they actually drove all the way from Armidale into Sydney just for this event, just to see all of the projects and the innovations that their classmates have worked on, and then to be inspired by them. So for us as academics, we hope that by showing students how to innovate and then providing them with a platform for them to share their experiences and share their own innovations, they can then use that to help inspire their peers and get their peers to think, hey, those people on the stage that are presenting, they're high school students. They're just like me. Maybe I can do something like that too. And so with that, I'll hand off to ANITA, who will now share with you how we're getting more students involved and inspired this year.
Thanks, Steph. So hello, everyone. I'm ANITA, and I joined the BIOTech Futures Challenge team this year when Johann and Halla approached me to come on as co-chair of the symposium with Johann. And already it's been such a great experience. I think helping organise something like this for any undergrad university student is so rewarding. I'm in my 2nd year of a biomedical engineering degree at the University of Sydney, and through helping organise this challenge, I'm getting to meet various academics from the University of Sydney and around Australia. I'm getting exposed to a lot of different research in various fields. And at this point in my degree, when I'm starting to look at internships, honours theses, PhD projects, things like that, it's amazing for me to be able to get in touch with all these mentors. So I think this program is not only hugely beneficial for students participating, but also for university students who help organise it. So this year, the BIOTech Futures Challenge is running for a 2nd time in February 2021. And we're hosting a symposium in Melbourne this year, as well as in Sydney. So high school students, individually or in teams, are challenged to come up with their innovative solutions, similarly to the Bio Challenge last year. Some topics that we're offering this year for students to tackle are investigating biodegradable labware, looking at the gut microbiome links to bone health and implanted grafts, and also looking at the replacement of pacemaker batteries. So the topics still fit into the theme of medicine or energy and the environment. And within this, students also have the opportunity to identify their own problem in these areas and work with a mentor on a project of their own design. So similarly to the Bio Challenge last year, students will be paired with a mentor, an academic from around Australia, and be helped out throughout their project. So all students are going to make a poster and a presentation about their design. And different from last year, we're also offering the opportunity for students to write up their design as a professional scientific report. And we also are encouraging our students again this year to make a prototype or a model to help in the presentation of their designs. So we're currently planning for a face-to-face symposium, COVID allowing, at the University of Sydney in February, where a team from Melbourne will join us, and our top 50 teams will pitch their ideas live to the audience, and also will face a live Q&A on their design. At this symposium, not only will the students get to hear from each other's projects and designs, but they'll also get to hear from leading academics in Australia on their research, get to chat to other teams' mentors, hear about their research, their career from studying to PhD and where their career has taken them. And all students will be able to present their projects at the science fair. And the students basically have a really opportunity to get exposed to a wide array of research, not just the research that they've had to do to complete their project. So the BIOTech Futures, we aim to keep expanding every year. We'd love for more and more international teams and presenters to keep joining us, and ultimately form this global network of students, mentors, presenters, everyone who's participated in our events, that not only links students with mentors that they can reach out to in their careers, but links students with other like-minded students. So all of these challenges that we're talking about, these are the students that are going to go on to solve these, probably together, and forming this network with their peers at this stage is a really useful opportunity for them. And we'd love for this year for teams from the Arab world to join us in our challenge. So we invite high school students or teams of high school students to get in touch with us through our email on the screen now. If you're interested in completing a project with us this year and joining in virtually at our symposium in February, we'd love to have you. And we also encourage anyone who likes the idea of potentially organising a biotech challenge in their home country or back at their university to get in touch with us also. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. That was amazing. And I hope the translation went really well. There are a few questions. If I just address, I think there's multiple questions. I'm trying to address in Arabic. Yeah, guys? So So في أسئلة أحاول أجاوبها بالعربي. طبعا أكيد الدول العربية بتقدر تشترك بالبايو تشالنج كله عن طريق الزوم. بالحقيقة أنا كنت رايحة بشهر 4 مع 7 بروفيسورية من الجامعة لحتى نعمل البايو تشالنج مع السفير الأسترالي بالأردن لكل المدارس هناك. بس أي واحد بحب يتصل فينا ابعتوا ايميل للايميل الموجود على الويب سايت تعمل معروف ورح نجاوبكم اكيد. كثير بنتمنى انه من الدول الشقيقه العربيه كلهم يكونوا معنا، احنا بنحاول نعمل المستحيل لحتى نجيب الفريق اللي فاز بالدول العربيه لاستراليا كمان. هذا كان البرنامج لشهر 12 قبل الكوفيد. شيء ثاني في سؤال كيف الستودنت كانوا funded, how were the student funded. أنا لما إجوا عنا على اللاب إحنا بنعمل الفندing للستودنتس. There's a question, Johan, there's a question for you, I think, and Steph, I think I tried to answer that.
Oh, okay.
It says, hi, Mr. Johan, my question is, what's the percentage of active and valuable sharing from students, and is it optional? How do you connect by school manager or outdoor scientific club? Well, thanks for your question, Bilal. I'll try and answer it to the best of my ability here. I think what you're asking is the percentage of students who partake, and that really differs between whether you're talking schools that are close to universities or schools that are regional. Is it possible for the person to interact with the question, or no, it's just with the text? It's just with text.
It's okay. They can. بتقدروا تبعتوا ايميل للايميل الموجود على الويب سايت، وأنيتا ستيفاني يوهان بيحاولوا يجاوبوا السؤال. بس بدي اشوف في سؤال عن الووتر تريتمنت اريا. طبعا اكيد اي شيء بدكم تحاولوا تبحثوا فيه هذا اكيد ممكن. Anita, that was the question for you about water treatment. If they want to work on water treatment, شو بنعمل إحنا؟ بنحطكم مع البروفيسورية اللي بيشتغلوا بهذا المجال، وهدول بيكونوا اللي بيدربوكم على هذا الموضوع.
Did you say yes? Is that yes?
في أسئلة تانية؟ ما هي نوعية المشاريع وشروطها؟ هلا أي مشروع بدكم تفكروا فيه ما في عندنا شروط أبداً. فكروا بالمشروع، إحنا واجبنا أو من عندكم مثلاً بمصر، بالأردن، بلبنان، وين ما كنتوا، بنحاول إحنا بنتمنى إنه يكونوا الجامعات عم تشتغل مع المدارس هناك، وهذا كان الهدف اللي بدي أعمله أنا بالروحة هاي المرة، لأنه بشهر 12 كنت ما أشتغل، دائماً بنشتغل مع السفراء الأسترالية بالدول العربية، وبنروح بنحكي مع الجامعات. تقابلنا كثير مع رؤساء الجامعات ومع المدارس لحتى يصيروا يشتغلوا مع بعض، والبروفيسورية اللي هناك والPhD students يدربوا الطلاب وتعملوا التشالنج وتقدموا لنا اياهم. بس اذا بدكم كمان نقدر احنا نحطكم مع تيم اللي يعملكم تدريب وتقدموا المشاريع اللي بدكم تشتغلوا فيها. Other projects well we can have mentors in that area. بس المشكلة بالكوفيد 19 إنه هنا الكل مشغول بالكوفيد 19 studies اللي ممكن تطلع الفاكسين وعلاج لهذا الموضوع، فما في حدا فاضي بوقت عبين ما يطلع الفاكسين. أظني بيكون شوي صعب، بس مش معناته ما بنقدر نجرب. any publications طبعا إذا كان الموضوع إذا كان الموضوع ممكن يؤدي إلى نشر الأبحاث، إذا كان الطالب اللي أو مجموعة الطلاب اللي اشتغلوا على هذا الموضوع أدى لإشي ممكن يصير في براءة ذمة ونشر البحث، أكيد الطلاب رح يكونوا جزء منه. كيف بنشتغل مع other universities بالعالم؟ again مثل ما هلا عم نشتغل بالزوم، كل شيء بيصير بالزوم، ما في مشكلة أبداً. فأنا بشجع الكل إذا سمحتوا بليز ابعتوا إيميل للأدرس الموجود على الويب سايت تبعتنا، ورأساً رح يجاوبوكم. إحنا بنتمنى قديش في طلاب من العرب، وإن شاء الله العرب ساينس ويك يقدروا تتيم أب معنا لحتى نقدر نعمل كمان مرة ميتينج مع الدول العربية.
Regional challenges as well. Can we translate that?
Yeah.
We'd love to have regional.
Yeah. So يوهان عم بيقول إنه مثل ما عم نعمل بأستراليا بدنا نروح على الدول، على المناطق البعيدة. مثلا ما بعرف بالمصر إيش المناطق اللي بعيدة، بالأردن مثلا في عنا المناطق اللي مش العاصمة يعني، ونحاول نجيب الطلاب لعنا ونفرجيهم إيش في إمكانيات هن ما بيقدروا يشوفوها بمدارسهم بالوقت هذا. Have you guys considered working back? Yeah.
Yeah, no fees to join the program.
ممكن نعمل تجارب ميدانية مشتركة. شو يعني؟ علاء تقدري بليز تشرحي لي إيش يعني تجارب ميدانية مشتركة؟ field trips؟ هذا معناته field trips. I can't understand the question.
Who says field trips?
Yeah, field trips. طبعا أكيد.
What's أكيد؟
يعني for sure. For sure إذا لقيتوا الناس اللي ممكن تمشوا معها، مثلا هلا عندكم بمصر ما بعرف أو بالأردن في عنا مشكلة مي، تقدروا تجتمعوا مع دكاترة، أو إحنا من عنا هون في دكاترة أو بروفيسورية عم بيشتغلوا على مشكلة التلوث البيئي، مثلا مشكلة نقص المياه، فبتصيروا تشتغلوا معهم بتفكروا بحلول لهاي الأشياء. كل هذا بيبدأ منكم، من الصغار، من الطلاب، مش منا. إحنا خلص وقتنا، إحنا وظيفتنا ندربكم ونلهمكم لحتى تعملوا الأبحاث وتفكروا بآراء بأفكار بديعة، وهذا كله من الطلاب اللي الأفكار بتيجي. تربية الأسماك مثالا. مزبوط. اوكي، ليش الباتنت important in my talks؟ اوكي، البراءة الذمية مهمة. ليش؟ لأنه إذا إحنا بدنا ناخذ البحث اللي عملنا عليه، إذا بدنا نطبقه على المرضى مثلا، لازم يكون في حماية للاختراع اللي عملناه حتى الشركات تاخده وتبيعه. مش كل إشي بيصير فيه عليه patent of course، مش كل إشي بيصير فيه عليه براءة اختراع، بس الأشياء اللي أنا عم بشتغل عليها بيصير عليها براءة اختراع. مثل المحاضرة اللي عملتها قبل يومين، حكيت على بعض هذه الاختراعات اللي عملناها اللي هلأ بطريقها لتروح للمريض. لو ما في عنا حماية لهذا الاختراع، ما في عنا الشركة اللي بتاخده وما بيطلعوا مصاري ويبيعوه. عرفت هاي القصة. بس في أشياء مثل بالكمبيوترز مثلا، مش كله في عندك براءات اختراعات، بس في كمان بس اللي اخترع هذا الإشي إيش ما كان بده يصير له acknowledgement، يعني it's a problem. تقدير، والتقدير بيكون مثلا من دون، إذا ما في براءة اختراع بيكون اسمه بيطلع على البحث العلمي، الورقة اللي رح ننشرها. شكرا كثير يا جماعة، أنا كثير مبسوطة على الأسئلة. Will you be running virtual challenge?
Potentially, we'll determine that at the end of September. So, but regardless, wherever you are in the world, we will have the opportunity for students to join in virtually from across the world.
أنا متأكدة إنه رح يكون خلال الزوم، ما رح يكون بالواقع باليونيفرسيتي اوف سيدني، لأنه فيش سفر، ما رح يكون في سفر من هون لنص السنة الجاي. My answer was most definitely it is Zoom or virtual because there will be no travel to Sydney.
Yeah, but yeah.
Which is much better for you guys.
Well, it means everyone can join in.
Yeah, maybe in 2 years' time you can travel to Sydney. The winning team كمان سنتين مثلا، بس تروح مشكلة لازم أكون طالب تبع جامعة. لا طبعا مش لازم تكون طالب تبع جامعة، طبعا لا، هذا كله لطلاب المدارس. يعني is it year 9 guys? We have year 9 right?
Year 9 to 12. 9 to 12.
Yeah. So هذا من صف ثالث إعدادي للتوجيهي. أبداً مش لازم تكون طالب جامعة، بس بتصير تشتغل مع طلاب الجامعة ومع البروفيسور بالجامعة على الموضوع اللي بدك تشتغل عليه. الموضوع اللي بدك تشتغل عليه بيكون أنت فكرت فيه، أو بيكون البروفيسور أو المجموعة اللي رح تشتغل معها بالجامعة هن فكروا ببحث اللي بدكم إياك تشتغل عليه. ففي عنا نوعين. إن شاء الله كمان سنتين كلكم تيجوا. الفكرة كانت إنه لما كنا بنروح على الأردن بشهر 4 إنه نعملها مثلا، أنا بس لأني كوني اجتمعت مع السفير الأسترالي هناك واجتمعنا مع كتير ناس من الأردن، جامعات ومدارس، إنه نعمل اللي هن يعملوها بالأردن، وهم يقرروا مين اللي ربح بهذا السباق، والتيم اللي برباح بسفروه على أستراليا وبيجي بأستراليا وبيعمل المنافسة مع التيم هون بيجوا على أستراليا. Do you have collaboration with some other universities in Europe? أكيد, yes, we can do that easily, no problem. We researchers have collaborations with the whole world, and we can easily have collaboration with any of the universities. We will be more and more publicizing it as we go. يعني أكيد راح يكون في عنا معاملات مع أظن اللي عم بيحكي بسأل سؤال يمكن من فرنسا كمان, because there is a French translation I can see. تاريخ السابقة من فضلكم. إمتى عملنا قبل؟ أوكي, عملنا قبل ب 19/4 والتاريخ اللي راح نعمله هلا. When are we doing it next year, guys? Which date exactly?
The 8th and 9th of February.
8 و9 بشهر 2 2021. Yeah. Correct. Yeah. So the guy answered from France. Absolutely. Are you اللي بيسأل من فرنسا هو بمدرسة ولا بجامعة؟ تقدر تقول لنا لو سمحت؟ مش مشكلة يعني كله بيصير, بس ابعتوا لنا مين بدكم وإحنا نتصل مع كل الجامعات والمدارس.
Would love to connect.
Researcher, perfect. So researcher as in postdoc. So if you're a researcher postdoc in a research group, you can easily act as a mentor for local high school kids in France.
And we'll equip them with all the tools and all of the documents.
Yeah.
To guide them.
Shoot us an email or visit our website.
Perfect. المشاركة في المغرب. إيش؟ المشاركة من المغرب. طبعاً المغرب, كل الدول الشقيقة العربية of course. كلهم لازم يجوا يشتركوا معنا. بيكون كتير منيح. أنا عمري ما اشتغلت مع حدا من المغرب. يعني أي سؤال بدكم تعملوا معروف, ابعتوا لنا الإيميل وإحنا كتير بنتعاون معكم. إيش ما كان أكتر يجي طلاب اللي يعني قد ما بنقدر نأثر على الطلاب بكل الدول العربية, خاصة الطلاب اللي ما بيطلع لهم يسافروا, ما بيطلع لهم يشوفوا إيش في أبحاث برا. طبعاً هلا ما في حدا بيسافر, فمعناته كتير منيح. إن شاء الله يا ربي بتقدروا إنه تشتركوا معنا, وإحنا بنساعدكم قد ما نقدر تكونوا مع طلاب مع الجامعات هناك, تشتغلوا مع المدارس. Okay, perfect. ممتاز. واحنا اظني هلا رح نعمل انه هذه اللي عملناها بنحطها على الويب سايت تبعتنا, واي شيء بدكم عندكم ايميل البايو تشالنج, عندكم ايميلي. Okay, I think we're done.
All right. Well, thank you very much for having us.
No, don't. ما قالوا لنا. No.
Oh,
they
no?
did not say anything. So, Mahmoud, I think we're still on, yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, we're still on. Okay.
I think we answered all the questions. Like, you really answered all the questions, and surprisingly, like, it's a lot of questions. That was a lot of questions. So amazing. So Ala, are you here, Ala? Yeah.
Okay, so I'd like to thank you so much, Dr. Hela, for participating with us in the Arab Science Week. I'd also like to...
Ala, I think your microphone is so far.
So can you hear me?
Yeah, it's better.
Okay. So I'd like to thank Dr. Hela so much for participating with us in the Arab Science Week and for this great discussion, actually. I would also like to thank Stephanie, Johan, and ANITA, yes. I'm sorry. So thank you so much, guys, for participating with us. Thank you.
Thank you, and thanks for everybody. Take care.
Bye.
We look forward to getting in touch with our French collaborator.
Yes, for sure.
Thanks.
And anyone else who wants to join as well.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
Bye.
متابعينا، سوف نعود مرة أخرى لاستكمال فعاليات اليوم الأخير من أسبوع العلوم العربي في تمام 1 بتوقيت المغرب، 2 بتوقيت مصر، 4 بتوقيت الإمارات. انتظرونا.